Hi, I'm Lee Salisbury, and over the years I have directed some of the country's biggest continuing dramas and worked with some of TV's best actors and actresses and become friends with them. I want you to get to know them a bit like I do, and so welcome to Soap from the Box. Okay, so my very first guest on the podcast, he's blackmailed me, harassed me. Shayne Ward, hello.
I'm honoured. First
I'm
person.
honoured that you're being on it, mate.
Thank you
So
very much,
you're
Steve.
famous, obviously, for playing Aidan Connor, but much more than that.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about later. So the idea today is we're going to talk about Aidan and Coronation Street, and then we're going to talk about you. See which is more interesting.
Yep. Yeah. What's real life and what's not.
So being in Coronation Street, I mean, it must have been, because you were obviously, which we'll get to later, obviously known for your singing, and I mean, you couldn't probably go into anything bigger.
It's true.
As an acting job.
It's so true, yeah.
How was it?
It was brilliant. I mean, still now, even just seeing your face as well, because you just bring back memories of working on the show myself. I loved it there. I absolutely loved it. Incredible institution. Working with actors that I've watched on screen since I was a child. And when mums love a show as well. That always means, that always means a lot.
How did your mum react when you got the part?
Well, I got told the news. I was actually staying at my mum's house. I was staying a couple of nights. And I just remember getting the phone call, and I just got up and went into my mum's room. I said, "Sorry, mum, I'm in boxers." She said, "Everything all right, son?" I said, "Yeah." I went, "Do you know that part I went up for on Coronation Street?" She went, "Yeah." I said, "I didn't get that." She went, "Oh, actually," I went, "No, but that was just for the audition." She went, "Okay, don't worry about it, son." I was like, "No, but they've given me an actual role as Aidan Connor." And she couldn't believe it.
So what, did you go for another part at first then?
No, what it is that you read just the generic script.
Okay,
just
so you weren't
get...
sure which, you weren't sure.
I didn't know what character I was going for, but now I know that part of the script that I was reading was for Robert. But obviously that was already Tristan's anyway.
Okay.
But I was just reading a script just so you can get a generic back and forth with the casting director. And then before I knew it, about 2 weeks later, they offered me Aidan Connor. So I was very, very delighted.
So how did Corrie happen for you then? Had you been planning to make a move into acting?
No, for me, I've always wanted to act. I always enjoyed the music video side of it, I mean, it's not that hard to kiss a girl in a video.
Yeah,
make it look like it's real. But But at the same time, I had to portray that I was in a relationship in this video.
And you have to be good in music videos, because I think if you see a music video where someone can't act,
yeah, exactly.
terrible.
So, but I just always had this belief. So I always had this belief that I could do it, and a lot of people know the story of how Coronation Street came about. It was Shayne Ward was on the show, and he was playing Callum.
Oh yeah,
and
really
a lot of people
badly.
on social media was congratulating me on getting the part of Callum, and I was like, "Callum?" I said, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh, Shayne Ward."
Oh right, okay.
I can understand the confusion and the simple mistake, and because of that, it generated interest.
Oh really?
And then Corrie contacted my management, was like, "Would Shayne like to come in for an audition?"
That's amazing.
And I was like, "Yes."
Well, I remember Barbara Windsor, because Barbara Windsor in EastEnders was because she was presenting the Big Breakfast, and everyone started going, "Oh my God, you should be in EastEnders," and that's what got her in EastEnders. Yeah,
the stars aligned.
Wow, so Shayne Ward is to thank.
Yeah, cheers, Sean.
Yeah, cheers, Sean.
Good
before we get going about the character, I'm going to give you a tiny little test to see if you can remember anything about Aidan. So
I can't remember yesterday.
What percentage score did Aidan buy of the factory when he came in?
Oh no! Oh no! What percentage?
It's a round number of the factory.
Is it 40%?
Yes!
What?
You got it right.
Hey!
40%. And obviously that was the factory underworld that made lingerie.
Felt at home.
So felt at home from the music videos to the laundry factory.
Yeah.
And obviously you came in and you had an established family. You had the brilliant Ali, obviously plays Carla, and Michelle.
Incredible Ali, she's brilliant.
I mean, was that more nerve-wracking coming in with an established family? Was it, or did it
was a blessing.
Easier?
It was a blessing straight away because, you're right. You're already going into an established family, so they've obviously the Connors have got their history before with Ali and with Kim, and so on and so forth. So there's still a pressure there, absolutely. But I felt like I was in good hands. So.
And Ali's amazing, isn't she? She's
Ali
such an amazing actress.
Is one of the most gorgeous women I've ever met in my life. Like, super talented, and it was just an honour to share the screen with her. I learned so much from her.
So you were, because you were the third cousin of Michelle and Carla, is that
The
right?
third cousin, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I've now read that I didn't realise that you were in the top 30 of pop stars, weren't you? And that was what Kim won, wasn't it? Is that what Kim won?
Kim won Pop Stars Arrivals, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, was that a different one?
No, Pop Stars Arrivals was Girls Aloud
So
and
that's what you got down to the last 30 of. What did you win? Did you win Pop Stars? I can't remember what it was called.
Was it called?
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to...
We'll come back to that.
I'll come back to that. I was going to ask, was that funny? But obviously it wasn't, because it was a totally different show.
That was brilliant. I think I was 15 to 16, and my sister Lisa was my chaperone. So we went down to London, and I made it, to the top 30 lads. And it was brilliant, yeah. So it was nice then, obviously, to see Girls Aloud, do as well as they did. Brilliant band. Some great songs, and I was part of that whole journey.
And quite good. So Kim was on took the same journey that you did as well, didn't she? Then in a way,
was it?
Oh God, that's going to really bug
probably
us.
is Pop Stars.
Okay, next question, so we don't get annoyed.
Yeah.
Who did Aidan sleep with when in a relationship with Eva Price? And it's easy.
Oh, Maria.
Yeah. Now, what's it like when you have an affair on screen in the public? Like, do you get loads of abuse?
No, that was interesting. Yeah, because for the last 50 years. People have been invested in that show and the characters, and that's what the show is about, isn't it? It's about building these characters for longevity, and
everyone's got to have an affair in the end, really.
I got one, of course.
Yeah,
you can't be on the show unless you do.
No,
I mean, and more than anything, you wouldn't want to move on the street like that, would you?
No way.
So much going on.
Yeah, or sleep with anyone because everyone's slept with everyone on the street.
You can't keep nothing a secret. But so what was the question?
What was the reaction to having an affair?
It was quite a mixed reaction, because you've got the one side of it, the people that are so invested in saying, how could you do it? Eva's fantastic, and then with Maria of all people, she always has affairs. Aidan didn't know that. But then the other side is all your mates saying, oh, nice one, yeah, two birds, yeah.
And I mean, you had Catherine Tilsley then, who played Eva.
Oh,
that was
brilliant.
a great relationship, wasn't it, in the show? That it suddenly clicks, doesn't it? Some people.
It does. Working with Kath and Sammy just together was such a great combination, and I love that was the love triangle that I was in. Both super talented actresses, and again, just like anyone that I worked with on that show, it was a blessing to watch their craft, and I learned so much because I went into the show didn't know anything, and I said, look, I'm a sponge. I'll absorb what you say.
And you saying that makes me go, sorry, what we were saying earlier. Like, really, like, all respect to you going into such a big show as your first massive acting gig, because it could have all gone totally wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because people are out to get, like Michelle Collins in Corrie, got so much abuse for the accent and stuff. Like people are ready. I think if you've been successful elsewhere, they're ready to get you.
Well, you're pigeonholed straight away because it's always the another singer coming in, and you're like, well, do you know what? Whoever said that we're just a one-trick pony, that we should stay in the one path? Life is so precious. You've got to go for stuff. If you believe you can do it, the worst you can get is a no. It's as simple as that. So I went in, and actually thinking about it now that you've said it out loud,
it's probably scarier now thinking of it.
It's scary thinking about it, of what I actually did.
Yeah.
But, from 6 months to 3 years, if you're lucky enough, you could be part of that show for a long, long time and become a well-loved character. And be respectful. Know that you're going in there, and it's an iconic show.
And you've got, like, the Queen, Barbara Knox.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. She was always fantastic.
Yeah, she's amazing. It's amazing the first time you see her, isn't it? You are like, oh, my God.
Well, one time...
She's such a legend.
Well, she walked past me and said hello to me, and a nervous thing happened. I bit my lip, and it started bleeding. And I was like, that was powerful. Like, she made me actually bite my lip. And she was gorgeous, and she met my little girl, Willow, as I left the show. And then I remember when I first joined as well, and I was pushing open the door, and the other side of the door was Bill.
Oh yeah,
and William Roach,
who's the loveliest, funniest man, isn't he? And
I opened the door, and I was like, it's Shayne. I said, yes, lovely to meet you. And he said, how do you find it? I said, I've been here for like 2-3 months now. He went, try 50.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was actually amazed by Bill, because you just think he's been there so many years. And he's got time for every single person. He wants to get to know every, and not just actors, like the crew, and he always recognises a new face.
I never took a day for granted. No. I every time I went in there, I honestly did. I pinched myself. I was proud every time I walked in the doors, out the doors, and it's one of those things. You hope that you leave an everlasting impression of like that they enjoyed what you did, and I built a good rapport with them because I missed them. I missed the company. I missed the people.
It wasn't great because I just remember I
time.
used to go in the green room as well with you guys, which is meant to be just for the actors. But the green room used to be great, wasn't it? Because during when you had scenes
That
down
was the
and
hub.
stuff,
Yeah.
it was the hub. Yeah,
that was the whole.
Do you remember the first time you walked in the green room thinking? Because I always think as an actor, it must be like it's like a first day at school.
Yeah, well, all eyes are on. And
Who's going to be my mate?
Well, you kind of look around and you think, right, at that time you only know them by the characters' names.
Yeah.
So it takes a while for them to kind of separate who they actually are. I just used to love it anyway because obviously I ate all the biscuits there and that was.
And pot noodles. You reintroduced me to pot noodles.
Oh, tell
they used
you
to have
what.
pot noodles in the green room.
But I just miss just people passing through and you're waiting for your scene and just the different conversations and.
But I don't actually miss the food because I used to put on so much weight working on. So.
Well, they put a padlock on the desserts thing and I realised maybe it was because
for you.
I kept mixing desserts and then he had to start paying for them. I was like, I don't want them no more.
So obviously you had your leaving was a huge storyline, a really important storyline, looking at male depression and obviously then Aidan committed suicide. When did you get told about that?
So when I was speaking to Kate Oates, it's sad at first because you have a choice, stay or go. And I had a conversation with my partner Sophie and I spoke to my mum and naturally their reaction is, no, please don't go, stay there. It's great, it's great. And I said, 100% it's great. But I don't think I'd ever get an opportunity like this to be trusted with this particular storyline because it is a real thing that keeps happening.
Yeah, it's a massive issue.
And still to this day, I say it's the biggest thing I've ever done because it's a real life. So when we spoke about it and naturally everything's it's always a shock at first. It's like, we're looking this, for Aidan, how do you feel? So it was. I can't remember actually when I got told. It was probably about 5 months before.
And did you feel a pressure because male suicide obviously is a massive thing? Do you feel the pressure when you've got a storyline like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, because you have to. Again, it has to be handled so right, so correctly, so delicately. So there was, yourself with the research team and in any of these soaps, they are fantastic. So they work very closely with the charities like Calm, Mind, Samaritans, and also meet with families who obviously have unfortunately lost someone through it. So we did that, and I knew what I was doing was such a huge moment in not just TV history, but for those people at home who feel.
I think that's the thing. It's the people watching it who watch this every day, and I think what soap is really powerful at is that people because it's in their lives every day. They kind of believe in these characters. And they really take it home and
that's
listen
and the people
to it.
that are having those thoughts.
Yeah,
that could be watching it and thinking, "That's how I feel." I can't tell the person next to me how I feel, but that's how I feel. And then all of a sudden they go, and that's what you want. You want them then to turn to the person next to them and say, I have to tell you something. And that for us was the most important thing. It was that's what we tried to break, that taboo of men not talking, because we a lot of time it's banter, isn't it, between lads and whatever. Yeah. But a lot of people feel afraid to talk because they'll be seen as being a wuss or whatever. But even still to this day, what that show was able to do as a collective, even the aftermath was so heartbreaking to watch, and Gail's speech and watching how the different reactions of my dad.
It's quite weird actually watching
your
character's aftermath.
Because it's my character.
Yeah.
And I'm so invested and connected because I played that character that it feels so real.
Yeah.
And you feel like you've lost someone too.
And did you bring it home with you, that story? Like, was it...
Oh, it's hard not to.
Was it hard to, smile at the end of the day?
Oh God, yeah, because those last couple of scenes, or even in that last month, it took so much out of me. I'd get upset on set because I knew I was leaving such a great family, but I also knew that I had such a huge task at hand, and I wanted to do it so much justice that it was able in some way to, like I said, break down that taboo and help people talk. So when it did, when the scenes happened and incredible performances from the whole team, when it started to get the obviously the attention of the public and they really got behind it, and then it did well at Soap Awards and things. I wasn't even meant to be going, and I got a call from Ali from the press department, said would love you to come, if we did win, would you like to speak for us? And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I feel so honoured. And I went there, and I think my speech was, I didn't have nothing prepared.
Because you won, let's remind you, you won the 2016, was it? National Television Award, TV Choice Award.
But the award for that particular, that whole array of storylines, mixed in with the Jack Shepherd, with the male rape, it was handled so well. And the important message was it's not always going to be visible for you to see that these things are going on. And what portrayed on the screen was that David's ordeal that happened, he was looking to do something. You could see him spiraling out of control, whereas Aidan hid it so well.
Yes.
And when it happened, people were shocked. And the thing...
Well, they were clever with Aidan, you see, because they chose the good-looking guy, the happy-go-lucky character. I mean, it wasn't, you know, someone who was naturally suffering big time.
And still at the time, people on social media were saying, I didn't see that happening.
Yeah.
And what me and Kate spoke about, the most important thing was that we sat down, and when I said, look, the last scene was meant to just be in the pub, and I said, look, can I create that last scene as I'm back in my place? That's my prison. That's where I just want to be. And so I created that with Kate. And when the actual episode aired, and people said they didn't see that happening, again, it was kind of like the message, like, watch back the previous episodes. And now it was staring them in the face. They could see it. They saw the signs, but we had to play it in such a subtle way. Which is so like real life. Yeah. So if something happens to someone, you go, oh my God. Yeah. Do you remember? If you could look back and go, oh my God, he was there. He was trying to say something. Yeah. So, the show... I think that's where soap is amazing, though, isn't it? It's that we can tackle really, really tough subjects in a way that, say, a film, you watch a film, it's on for 2 hours, whereas a storyline can go over it. So you actually get the reality of real life. Because it goes over months. It happens all the time. We either know someone that has been lost through it, we know someone who's feeling that way, and that show will constantly remind it. Have you had people come up to you and say... Oh, still. Just down the road where I live, there's a supermarket. And there's many others like Tesco and Morrison's. But no, like this supermarket, and I was in there. You didn't actually say a name, so there's no need to do that. There's no, but I wanted to. Just in case you've always wanted to do just that. Just in case you can get free shopping during the pandemic. Or I can get sponsored by the podcast. There we go. Any supermarket. There we go. Happy shopper. Toilet rolls, because everyone's stealing them again. But no, I was down at the supermarket, and this is a good few months back now anyway. And I was just paying something at the counter, and the guy looked at me as I was paying, and he just said, "Thank you," out of nowhere. Oh wow. And I knew straight away. And he said that there was customers waiting, but he said my mum watched the show, and he said I was in a bad place. At that time I watched it, and it helped me speak, and I just put up my hand because you don't know what to do. I just felt so like I said, it sounds weird to say well done, but congratulations, like I'm proud of you. But I said thank you for speaking, and I'm so happy the show helped you in a way. Another one I was doing a show. I was on a tour bus with my two backing vocalists and the driver, a big muscly guy, like a biker, bald hair, beard. Yeah. And he was driving the tour bus, and we was going to the show, and he still just driving. Everyone else is just talking, and again, he just looked behind him, dropped his left shoulder, and he just went thumbs up to me like that. And I thought he was just saying, I said, I'm all right, thank you. He went, thank you. And again, it's just the thank yous. That's incredible. And he just told us his story, and it was like, wow, I have people beeping in cars still. Not because it's me or I'm crossing the road too slowly. Yeah. It's like, thank you for the Coronation Street. Yeah, it's amazing. That is amazing. So, quick more questions. Do you remember your first line in the show? I do. I remember walking into the pub. Oh no! I remember walking into the factory to Carla, and I said, "I've had a warmer welcome." Yes, I have. Well, I could have delivered it better as well. I thought that would really stump you. No. Yeah. And then, can you remember his middle name? Oh, Finbar. Yeah. Oh, okay, it's a good Irish name there. Let's go on to you. Yes. And mostly, obviously, we're going to talk about singing. One of my memories is us actually having a rap-off at my house. Do you remember? The closest I've got to doing a duet with you. So let's talk about you. So obviously... You were born, not obviously, people might know this, you're born in 1984, so young still, in Tameside, Greater Manchester. Correct, yeah. Did you always have dreams of wanting to sing, wanting to act, wanting to be in the business? I always felt like I always was around music. I'm one of 7 children, if people know my history. 7 children, where you go? Yeah, I got 3 brothers, 3 sisters. So music was always playing, it's always been a big part of our lives, but it was constantly playing. So as we got older, I've known nothing different. My love for just anything melodic just developed at a young age. What kind of music did you grow up listening to? Well, I mean, it was more like my mum and dad getting ready to go out, and the LPs would be on, all the cassette tapes, and it'll be Barbados was like, whoa, we're going to Barbados. Yeah. Could be Tom Jones. That was on a party night. Yeah, it's the smell of hairspray, basically. Yeah, my mum used just Lionel Richie constantly. Oh, really? Richie. But we had everything like Dr. Hook playing, like amazing. Anything that was Patsy Cline, Kenny Rogers, all the country music. So I always knew that that I just loved the thought of music. I used to stand in the front garden with my twin sister Emma on crates singing to the stars.
Did you?
Like, get in. So it was only when I got a bit older and I was in high school, and I think when certain schools don't do well, they join forces, and 2 other schools joined our school and we became St. Peter's. And with one of the schools, they brought a performing arts class, and I was like,
wow,
what is this? What is this? And I just fell in love with it. And I was Tony in West Side Story, the end of year plays and Caliban Story and performances. I think my first song I sung on stage was "Swear It Again" by Westlife.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Wow.
And it was brilliant. And then you'd had teachers then saying, like Mr. Savage saying, and the Irishman, he was like, "Shayne, that was brilliant. You're going to be something someday." And I'm like,
amazing.
Thank you very much. Fast forward to today.
Yeah.
And Mr. Savage came down to see me when
Did
I did
Mr. Savage?
Rock of Ages.
Oh, brilliant.
Many, many years ago.
Obviously you've been to school and everything before X Factor, which we'll talk about. I didn't realise you were in a band called Destiny.
Hey!
With 2 girls, Tracy and Tracy.
There we go, TNT they're called now, literally.
Amazing.
But they've been going for 20 odd years.
Oh, are they still going?
Oh, they're still going.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What were
Working
Destiny
Men's
then?
Club.
What was your kind of style?
Oh, well, it was basically 80s, 90s now.
Amazing.
Just all the classics, all the dance floor fillers, anything that was out.
So were you singer in that, or were you all singing? Were you all the main
Oh, no,
singers?
we was all singers. 3-piece harmony trio, as we were called. But we did all the working men's clubs for about...
Weddings and stuff, did you?
Everything, 5 or 6 years. They took me to Germany to do the army barracks.
And do you think you need, is that good to have done as a singer? Do you know what I mean?
100%.
I think as an actor as well, if you've really trod the boards,
Legends, icons like Tom Jones, like people who have done the circuit know how tough that is. For one, if you can't entertain a crowd in a working men's club, it's like they will tell you, do your first set 45 minutes, then it's cockles and muscles and bingo and whatever. Come out for the second set. If you've already lost them in the first, you're gone. I remember sitting down in a chair during after the first act, and someone came over and says, "Oh, could you move, please? Jim's been sat there for 40 years." I went, "Well, his ass must be killing him." But I miss those working men's club days because that was where real craft. That's where I built my craft. I learnt it, and it was thanks to those girls. Yeah.
And did you ever have a really small audience? Did you have those depressing gigs where there's 4 people sat there not even listening to you?
Yeah, and we had the best times. The ones where there was hardly anybody there, you realise straight away it's not us. It's nothing to do with us. It's just that people just haven't come out.
Yeah.
So we treated it as a rehearsal and a bit of a kind of we just had such a scream.
Yeah, you can experiment a bit.
Yeah.
And,
But I'll tell you what I miss about those days as well is that I suffer with hay fever. So my sinuses and things like that. And I remember one time my hay fever was so bad and I had a gig and it was a boiling hot day and my eyes were so itchy and I kept blinking. And I remember there was a girl at the front of the audience with a mate and she's like that, blinking at me. And I'm like, why does she keep blinking at me?
She thought you were...
She's taking a mick at me. She was like...
was she?
Yeah, literally.
Oh, I thought you meant she thought you were winking.
No,
you were going a bit mad trying to pull her.
That girl was taking a mick. And little things like that stand out for me and it actually made me miss it. Because you want that reaction of saying, why is she winking at me?
So then you were, like we mentioned earlier, you were in Pop Stars The Rivals. Who were the judges? Now, God, we're going to go back to this now. It's going to annoy us.
So the judges in Pop Stars The Rivals
was that Nicky Chapman?
Jerry Halliwell.
Oh.
Pete Waterman and Louis Walsh.
Oh, right, okay.
Louis, who would have thought, eh?
And so that was early on in those shows, wasn't it, still? It was one of the early ones. What was that, going into that from going...
I think it was Pop Stars, just to say. It's coming to me now. It was Pop Stars, then it was Pop Stars
The
Rivals.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what came.
Yes, thank
there
God.
There we go. So what was it like going into that?
Yeah.
Again, it was scary. My sister put me up for it.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, and I'm so glad I had that experience then, even still. But I wasn't ready then.
Right, yeah.
I really wasn't.
And how were you when you didn't get through them? Like you said earlier.
Oh, it was gutting. I think, my sister was really gutted. My mum was gutted for me.
Did you get told individually, or were you one in that lineup where they go, step forward?
Oh, yeah.
You're all going home.
Yeah, no, I think it was... actually, how did we all get told? It was actually in the... Can you believe this? It was in the dancing stages.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And yeah, I just...
They were like, oh, you've got a really good voice.
I've improved now. I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
I am Patrick Swayze at a bar. But yeah, but again, I'm so happy that I didn't progress any further because it was right. It was right for that moment, and I wasn't ready then. It's a scary thing, and anyone that can stand in front of an audience is not an easy thing to do.
No,
it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it.
I mean, and I think anyone listening will know that just from doing karaoke. you think it's fun. You go up even to do karaoke and it's, oh my God.
Alcohol helps.
Yeah, alcohol, which you can't do if you're on Popstars Arrivals.
There we go. Yes.
So then in 2005, you were in the second series of X Factor.
Yes.
You won with 10.8 million votes, which is incredible. Simon, Sharon and Louis as judges. Like, what was that experience like? I mean, I remember that before I know you. Like,
I was 21 years old when I won the show. Now, that was the right age. That was the good age. And I felt ready for
Did you feel very different that time than when you went into it than you did on Popstars Arrivals?
because I had, at that time then, up to 21, I had the experience in the working men's clubs of learning my harmonies, learning what it is to be in front of an audience, some receptive, some quite not. And just the humbleness that it brought. And I was just ready for something.
And did you decide to go back, or did they kind of contact you to go back? Because
No, not at all. No.
You decided.
I actually missed my audition day because I was away on holiday.
Oh.
Yeah, I missed it. And then when I realised what it was, I rang up and they said, I'm meant to be auditioning today. They said, well, it's an open day tomorrow.
Oh, thank God.
I went for the open day.
Oh, right, okay.
Can you believe it? And I went for the open day. But it was honestly one of the most amazing and magical times of my life. And yeah, turning 21 on the biggest show on television.
That's amazing.
And having the judges there and then later on going to win the show and have Simon as my boss and Louis as my manager. It was just, you couldn't write it. It was like, as a 21-year-old lad from Manchester, very respectful, to everybody, to have then people just pat me on the back. And I kind of wish now, because we're in such a digital age, as we now know, everything's filmed. But if you watch a clip from 2005, I'm probably like on a video.
Yeah.
It looks dated.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really find a lot of great footage. But I just remember stories of people who told me, even still years going later, in the pubs. The pubs were packed. A lot of pubs were like a Manchester.
Well, I think the magical thing about those shows at that time was it's almost like early Big Brother, because you didn't.
It was family,
but you also didn't know what was going. Now I think the problem is that you knew people were going to be massive. Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of like you still didn't expect that person to become as big and popular. But
I love that being told stories of pubs being packed and people watching it.
Yeah,
and then I would love to have been a fly in the wall to see their reaction when the local lad from Manchester won it, because it fills me with pride. But you're totally right now, because, it's just
like you almost said, people expect it entering, which I think you can tell.
Yeah.
So it takes away that kind of...
But because of social media now, you don't have to... That's what they're always saying.
You don't have to
You don't have to win it. You can be seen. If you make a good enough impression and the production company decides to show your audition...
Yeah. You were probably one of the last ones that won it that did well, because normally it's always the runner-up that does really well.
Well, that's what they're saying now.
One Direction were the one runners up, weren't they?
Incredible success.
Mad, yeah.
Mental
you and Leona,
success.
I think, were the biggest things to come out of X Factor, weren't you?
It was a great time, and Leona's fantastic as well. So, 2005 and 6 was great years, yeah.
And how was it working with Simon? I mean, literally the god of music.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I mean, I've just, obviously... Recently, Psycho is no more.
I know. He's
so they've gone
into telly.
But I mean, Simon's been television for many years as well, and he's a clever man. I mean, he's.
I think he knows when his time's up in music a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Britain's Got Talent's worldwide now.
Yeah.
It's been bought in every country. Doesn't need to work again.
And music changed like that. It's like Stock Aitken and Walkman when I was young were like the biggest thing for 10 years, and then you kind of know that that's going to change a bit.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Simon's, I think, core staple of music.
But
has changed a little bit.
I loved it.
What an amazing. Not just to sing it, but to be part of that whole movement of that television. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing to.
I'm proud to be part of that history.
Because it'll never happen again.
It won't.
It won't ever happen again. You'll never get those TV audiences again.
It was it was so new, and whereas now there's so many of them.
Yeah, and also, and like you said, the way the digital age has changed, people can just build their own profiles. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You don't need actually.
Well, back in the day, it was just Digital Spy. If you want to know what someone was doing, it was Digital Spy and MySpace.
Yeah.
Now
MySpace.
Everything.
God, I forgot about MySpace.
Yeah, put a song in the background.
MySpace.
And a wallpaper in the back, and then you move away. But there was nothing then.
So your first single, That's My Goal, this is amazing as well. Released 21st December, sold 313,000 copies on the first day.
Yes, sir.
What the hell?
Yeah.
742 by the first week. And at the time, I think I've written here, it stayed in the top 75 for 21 weeks. Yeah. And at that time, it was the fourth fastest selling single of all time. Is it still? I don't know, because it said
it was, because it was.
It must still be in the top 10.
Well, the first was Candle in the Wind.
Yeah,
Elton John. Then it was it was actually the third fastest at the time, but it was Candle in the Wind, and then it was Evergreen by Will Young, and then That's My Goal. So it's probably been surpassed now, but even little things like that,
because again, the singles don't sell that much anymore, do they?
Well, everything's
so you're probably always going to be in the top 10 forever.
I hope so.
How amazing is that?
Just keep me in that Christmas countdown. That's all I
ask. Did you have? Because I think everyone has, whether it's in a soap, we talked about it, or whether it's, say, doing the kind of music we're at that time. And you can see Will Young, everyone kind of does this, is suddenly wanting to break out of that. Because you probably get quite pigeonholed.
Well, do you know what it is?
It's almost like a role in music, isn't it?
It's the horrible side of certain individuals in the industry that want to pigeonhole you, that will look down the nose, that looks past the fact that you are talented and only sees you as they put it in inverted commas, a talent show winner. Which is kind of like, oh, so does that mean I don't have talent?
Yeah, well, like a soap actor.
Yeah,
you're not an actor.
So imagine me, I'm a talent show winner, very proud, and I'm a soap actor, very proud.
Yeah,
but you still have those silly people that will go, oh, I don't want to look past that. That's all they are.
Yeah. Well, and it still goes on. I won't say who, but someone in soap is doing a drama at the moment with a A-list actor who came up to them and said, "Oh, you're that soap actor." Like,
but you know what I mean? It's like, so I can understand why certain people in the industry want to get rid of that tag. And for me, it was always, do you know what?
Be proud of it.
Be proud of it and own it, because everything comes full circle. And look at the incredible success of One Direction, who came from a talent show.
Yeah, exactly.
It came from a talent show. And so it's like, I think that all the people that kind of look down their nose at it, leave them with their drama and their negative thoughts.
I think the industry looks down on it too, in a way, though. Like, I would say Little Mix's management want to not call them. Do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of like, it's a weird...
Never forget where you come from.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know this. I don't know whether this is true or whether I've just read a load of rubbish. But apparently when Jason Orange was going to quit Take That, you were... Is it true? You were going to be in Take That?
Well, no. One of my sound engineers, Nick Warren, great guy, Manchester lad, he contacted me one time and he said he was reading Gary Barlow's autobiography. And he was sat in the toilet at the time. Just thought I'd just mention that. And I was like, it was just one of those...
where the best place to read Gary Barlow's autobiography.
Like a random phone call. I said, "Oh, Shayne, I'm just sat in the toilet." I was like, "Oh, cheers, mate." And he said, "No, I'm reading Gary Barlow's autobiography and it mentions you." And I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yeah, Nigel Martin Smith, was the manager of Take That." And I think, when Jason Orange didn't want to come back, obviously there was looking at names that could probably fill in, and my name got thrown in the mix, and it mentioned me in the book, and I was ecstatic. I was like, "Oh my
amazing.
God!"
Yeah.
And then the question then came from journalists who'd learnt this and said, "Would you have joined Take That?" And I'm like, "It's a weird one. Of course I would have."
Yeah.
But then I would have been like, I respect them too much to the point where I would have been, "You ain't no Jason Orange."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Do your own stuff.
It never works.
It would never work because someone who fills in for someone else, I would have been like, "Do you know what? I would unfortunately decline. I want to be in it massively because I love Take That, but I'm no Jason Orange. You know what I mean? He is Take That as well. So, but what a great thing to be.
I know. Yeah. I now Take That. I think there's only like 2 people in Take That now, isn't there?
I need to find that book actually.
That's so cool. I know.
Cheers, Gary.
Hey, no, brilliant. So, oh God, now I'm going to put my serious voice on.
Go on.
It's like doing morning television. No, in 2006. You developed vocal cord nodules.
That's correct, yeah.
Which is what ended Julie Andrews' career. So that must have been
I love
huge.
the fact that you've mentioned Julie Andrews as well, because there's a connection with that. Because, now I always go back to social media and the digital age. You can find out anything, and if someone does have nodules, you can learn straight away what it is and how it can affect. But there's a lot of singers out there. I think Rod Stewart's got them, but it doesn't prohibit his voice. Bobby enhances it, incredible. But for me, it was, if people don't know, to people obviously listening, it's newly developed wounds on your vocal cords from overuse, because it's a muscle,
over-singing too much,
over-singing, over-talking, and in a short period of time. And that short period of time was the different weeks in X Factor. So whenever, as a public, you watch the show, and then as you're watching on Saturday and you see the VT before someone performs, and they go, and then you get the music in the background, and it's like, oh, someone's got a sore throat. Certain public will go, "Oh, of course they have." Yes, they did. And yes, we do, because as soon as we finish singing, people don't know, before then we've had all the interviews. You go to premieres because they for content, movie premieres. Then you get back and you've got more content to the camera. Then you've got your vocal coaching. So when it gets to
24 hours a day, basically.
It's a muscle. You can't play a football match 6 days in a row. You just can't. you've got to rest. And yeah, so I knew as soon as I won the show, there used to be this deal where if you went out of the show, you performed at Club JY.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So when I won the show, I went and performed at Club JY, and I went from winning the show, press conference on stage, boom, straight over to Club JY, performed another 5 songs. Still ecstatic.
At 3 a.m.
Yeah, until 3 a.m, knowing that I had to be out for 5 o'clock to go and do the Christmas special for Top of the Pops because I was getting the Christmas #1.
Yeah.
But that's my goal. Thank you.
Sorry, I did. Sorry for not mentioning the Christmas #1 show.
Drop that one. Christmas #1.
Probably the fastest selling Christmas #1.
Yeah, at the time.
Probably.
Third fastest. I
love you know that.
It's great. But for me, it was that I knew from that moment, and I remember walking off the stage at Club JY, still ecstatic, but I turned around to my
I love you call it Club JY.
Well, it is, isn't it? Yeah, JY.
Yeah, JY.
I walked off gay. And literally, my tour manager turned around and said, "Are you okay?" And I just said, "Polly," I said, "I've done something to my throat."
Could you feel like it wasn't just a sore throat?
I knew. He says, "Oh, I know you're tired. It's been such an incredible night." I said, "No, I've really done something." So after I did my performance, probably at the time the label then were freaking out.
I know, God, yeah.
I then went to Harley Street the next day after Top of the Pops, and I went to Harley Street and they told me that I had nodules. Didn't have a clue what it was. Terrified, and again, that scared the label. So then I recorded that first album on Cortisone.
Oh God! Did you? So you recorded your first album?
Yeah.
Whilst you had God.
Well, I had to.
You had no choice.
If you think about it, it was the second year of the show. It has to be a success. There has to be an album.
Yeah.
Keep the public engaged. They've just spent their money on the phone.
But that must have been scary because you must have been thinking, God, I could make this.
I was
you
crying.
could have made it 10 times worse.
I was crying because what the nodules did for me was it took away my falsetto, so my high notes,
right,
which I'm known for in Breathless and things like that.
Love that song.
And thank you, dude. And I'll play it to you after this. But for me, it was such a scary time because then I had so much pressure. I didn't want to let them down. And what does pressure do to you? It
makes it. You clam up and
clam up and everything. But I recorded the album, and I always laugh and joke as well. But it's so true. It's a kind of, it's not a bittersweet, but it's more. I can look back at it, and I was proud of the first album. Also upset as well as the strain and struggle to get through it.
Yeah.
But then I say certain songs have got some of the best emotion I've ever given.
Yeah, because it was
my
raw.
voice was probably trying to cut out. But there's hardly any falsetto on there, which my album's after.
Yeah.
But fast forward to then having the operation.
In America? Did you go to America?
Yeah, I went to LA and with a surgeon called Dr. Cantor, who he's probably gone now, God rest his soul, because he was in his 80s then.
Right.
Yeah, he had discs on his wall from Whitesnake and other people that he's treated before.
Oh, are you going to say Julie Andrews?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And he turned around and he said to me, I was meant to do Julie Andrews' surgery. Because the technique is to cut them off or to laser them off.
Right.
I had mine cut off. I think she had hers lasered, I think. And he was meant to do it. And it was crazy that he said that. And I just said to him, just be honest with me, will it ever come back? He said, it's 50-50.
Right.
At that moment in time, I just knew. I thought, well, I haven't got a choice. I have to do it. I can't go on tour with Cortisone. I can't do the next album.
No.
It's going to cause more damage.
Yeah.
Because I won't be able to heal. And this is before the second album. And then I remember,
did you have to have a chunk of time off then?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And to the point, I remember going, and this is like a good few months. I had to stay in America for about another 2 weeks.
And that must have been horrible going in for that operation. Oh my God.
It was, because the night before the operation, I was instructed by the surgeon not to talk. And I was staying at a great hotel in LA. I think what it's called in a minute. And I met Colin Farrell.
Oh, right.
Because I know his brother Eamon from Dublin many years ago, my tour manager. Because he said, I know your brother, blah, blah, blah. Can you just give Shayne a bit of a G up because he's going for an operation tomorrow? And Colin was great, but I couldn't speak.
I know, that's what I was going to say. Was he like, look at Shayne Ward thinking he's it, not talking.
He was like, how are you, Shayne? And I'm like, mm-hmm. So then I thought, the only way I'm going to be able to do this now is use Post-its. So for the next few days, no, it was brilliant. I went to a DVD store. And the guy gave me a free DVD, which is brilliant. I got a top up of my lemonade.
It's like the scene in Love Actually where he's holding the cards up.
Yeah. But then I go to the bar and I say, I
can't talk, give me a DVD.
And more, and he goes, you want more? And I'm like, yeah, a top up, and he goes, it's fine.
Amazing.
I got things for free off Post. There we go, Post-its. That's a branding right there.
Yeah. Another sponsorship Post-its, please.
I'm watching for you as well.
Yeah.
Make your notes on. But yeah, no, it was great. And then I did that, and I remember going to a pub with my mum many years ago, and I tried to hit the falsetto and it just cracked in front of people, and I felt so embarrassed because they don't understand. But then the public didn't know either. They was like, oh, when's it going to release something else? You know what I mean? We don't see nothing from Shayne. And it was that whole thing, oh, he ain't got time for us no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Which is, that happens, I worked on a kid show, and that happened to Daniel Bedingfield live on air.
Yeah.
He just went in mid-song, and everyone was like, and I think maybe he went in for something similar.
Yeah, and his voice, I sung Daniel
because he
Bedingfield's
was
If You're
so
Not the
high.
One. I sung If You're Not the One on the show, which is one of my favourite songs by Daniel Bedingfield.
Yes, yeah.
And incredible.
I think that's what he was
falsetto.
singing this time. And his voice live on air just went.
Well, that's it. It's a muscle, and if
Yeah.
it goes, it goes.
It goes.
But I know in myself that my voice has come, my vocal has come back as much as it can do, and I'm grateful. You know what I mean? So that's why I was, and not just to bore you with it, but the song "Breathless" that you mentioned.
I was going to say, is that why it was called Breathless? No.
No, no. The actual 2 high notes. They were the first 2 high notes I ever hit after the vocal operation.
wow.
And I was in Sweden, and that's the middle eight part. It goes verse, chorus, verse, second chorus, middle eight, last chorus. So the middle eight, the producer was like, we need something there, like a note going da da da. And I said like this, and I went for it, and he recorded it, and there was ecstatic, and I was ecstatic, and I ran out to my tour manager like a little kid, saying, "You've got to hear this."
Amazing.
And I just said, no matter how many takes we do going forward, please can we use the first 2 takes?
First time you
So
did
the
it.
one that made the record is my very first 2 high notes after my operation.
And if you do, what's it, falsetto? You said
Falsetto.
Yeah. Is that what Mariah was? Because her voice.
That's a falsetto upon falsetto.
Oh, right,
like,
okay.
She's like
Because
incredible.
you can't sustain that for life, can you? That high?
I mean,
because she can't obviously. But
well, do you know what falsetto? Well, it's probably easy for a woman, but for a guy, I love the Bee Gees. I love Barry Gibb's voice.
I know he's constant. I know they were still singing like that when they were really old. How did
And
they
if
do
you
that?
because he's developed a great way of still using it, but to sustain that 7 days a week.
Oh, you can't, yeah.
Because it's a false voice and you're
Yeah.
using a lot of air, so it makes you very sore. But I love his voice, Barry Gibb. But yeah, it's a hard thing to do. So when your falsetto goes, it goes. Like,
Yeah.
you got-
So you, after Breathless, the album, went platinum. We're
Yes.
dropping them all
Thank
for you
you.
here, mate. You went on tour playing like the O2 Arena and the
Yeah.
Ep1 in Manchester. I mean, that must be incredible.
Oh.
Playing those venues suddenly that people are coming to see you.
yeah.
Do you remember going to, like, what's the venue you remember going to watching concerts that then you were like, oh my God, I'm there?
Them. Going to
yeah.
the O2, going to the MEN. And again, it's just gutting because unless the label invested in having them recorded, you'd have that footage where with my ones, you'd probably see some of them on YouTube.
It's such a shame, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. But I wish I had, and I've seen a lot of them from fans, which is brilliant. But that's where I'm going to go again. I'm aiming to go back in the arena.
Yeah.
To say I played the MEN Arena, that was one of the biggest achievements, and the O2. That I sold them out as Shayne Ward, and people put their hand in their pocket and they spent their time. They gave up their evening to come and see me. Forever grateful at that, yeah.
And then in 2011, I mean, you've done it all, mate. You went into the West End.
I did.
In Rock of Ages,
That was
playing
brilliant.
Stacey Jacks.
Yeah, what a character.
I saw that show. I don't know whether I saw you. I don't think I saw you in it, but that
Oh,
is...
you'd remember me.
I would. I mean, no, I wouldn't forget you. Yeah, that was a great show. I mean, what was that like being in the West End?
That was nerve wracking.
I bet. Yeah.
Because singing is my forte. Absolutely, it's what I do. It's what I absolutely love. But rock singing, I mean, power ballads, of course, but rock singing 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's
So,
God. That's the thing.
8 shows over 6 days, I think it was. Yeah, it was 8 shows over 6
And
days.
it's a fast show as well. It's
and
like an
American accent.
American accent.
I did my audition and I read it, and then the casting director says, "Oh, that's great, Shayne, because you're now doing it in American." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Oh yeah, the show's in American." I was like, "Is it?"
Oh God! Oh shit!
Luckily enough for me, I was playing the biggest rock star at the time. That was
Could
obviously...
you do an American accent as well?
Well, he was drunk a lot of the time.
Oh, that's fine.
And with me on my family, like being born in Ireland, like I can do an Irish accent, and a lot of American accents is like
It's slightly,
it's
yeah.
Irish and it's American,
Yeah.
and it's like don't judge that little bit, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
But do you understand what I mean? I mixed the two of a light Irish
yeah.
with American,
And drunk.
and it never got picked up on. I got a pat on the back, and I thought, do you know what? Thank you.
Amazing, yeah.
But I did it for a year.
And what
in
theatre
West
were you
End.
at?
We was at the Shaftesbury Theatre.
So amazing, one of the
iconic.
best.
But I loved it as well, and that opened my eyes as well. And I'm proud to say I did a show in the West End. Yeah.
Would you like to go back to the West End?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you always, you know, if the right thing comes along and it's in the right time in my career, that was brilliant for me. I love playing Stacey Jacks, and it was just brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't think... And what... Because I always think being in the West End, being in theatre, is 7 nights a week, because it's a totally different lifestyle. Because you're like basically sleeping when everyone's up.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're,
yeah.
Isn't it? It must...
Oh, the discipline.
I don't think... Could you do that all the time? No, because it must be...
I
it's like doing morning
applaud the
telly.
people. The West End is incredible. And even when I first joined it, again, a singer going into the West End to do acting as well, you know, you look at it and I was like, God, these actors, these are incredible. Look, I got to be on stage with Alice Cooper.
Oh, did you? Was Alice...
Well, it was an anniversary of Skills Out All Summer, so we did a performance with him.
Amazing.
We did for Pugsy, for Children in Need. Britney Spears came down in the show. I think there was Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And, you know, we with so many people. Foreigner.
Foreigner. You want to know what love is?
You want to know what love is? Starship.
Starship.
We can build. He came down to the show. That's my little sister's favourite song. And so, yeah, I mean, I got to experience that world, which then actually paved the way for me doing The War of the Worlds for Jeff Wayne.
Oh, okay, you did that
Many
as well.
years later.
I think Zeta-Jones did, I think, didn't you?
And it was brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what's next then? What are you up to at the moment?
So, exciting news. I put on my socials recently. I've just signed a 4-year writing publishing deal.
Amazing.
With Peer Publishing.
And so how does that work? Because I don't get... Because I'm not a music...
So,
what's a writing publishing deal?
So for me, it's a songwriting deal. They look after the likes of like Linda Perry, who wrote Beautiful for Christina Aguilera.
Oh God, yeah.
She was the lead singer for Non Blondes.
Yes.
And just so many incredible talent, and I've joined their roster. So it now means that I can start working on my new material for my new album, but also I get to do a lot more co-writing with other artists, other writers, and I can pitch them to other artists to sing.
Oh, brilliant.
They have an incredible pitching department for TV and film. They've got about 28 offices around the world. So
that's amazing.
It's great. I'm so more excited now because I get to really showcase my writing skills. So there was that, and before that, I got myself a new management called Lou Raymond, and he's been fantastic. So in 2 months, we got the publishing deal, and I've now just signed with UTA, which is United Talent
That's
Agency.
amazing, and that's been after all what's happened this year as well. So that's great.
Exactly, because you can either just do absolutely nothing, or you can really hit it head on. And we've just completed. We've been working non-stop for the last 6-7 months. So no, we've been speaking for the for the first 6 months I've been in the studio, but for the last 2 months when we decided to be a partnership and he became my manager, we've managed to get this as well. So he's, we have a plan. It's this, that, get signed, move on.
And for people listening, so you would have a manager, an actor would have an agent. Like, how important is that person in your life?
It's so important. And the thing is about Lou as well is that I've known Lou for 9 years, and he knows what I'm about. He knows what I want. And the thing is as well, he works with me, not just for me. He works with me. So we're in this together. And I'm so appreciative of him because, like I said, I've got something that I've wanted for a long time, which is a writing deal. And I've got that with one of the biggest companies in the world. So I'm still ecstatic about it. But now I've joined UTA. If people don't know about UTA, you should check out who they've got on their roster. From the performer side, you've got Timbaland, you've got Dolly Parton.
Oh my God, Dolly Parton. You've got to do a duet with Dolly Parton.
It'd be incredible. And then from the acting side, Johnny Depp. It's just. I'm.
You need to put everything into writing a song for Dolly Parton.
Oh, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I would love to be able to pitch a song to Dolly and she'd go, okay,
yeah.
let's do
Working
it.
7 till 7 now. Because 9 to 5, who does that?
Working home from home.
Yes.
But that's where I'm at the minute. So for the last couple of months, I've been solely songwriting. And it's to work on touring next year. Like everybody else, we're trying to figure out if we can.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm working on for the fans. So all my fan base, thank you so much for sticking by me and waiting for me to be doing something. But there's a lot of exciting things to come.
So then we're nearly over. Nearly running out of questions, you'll be glad to know, mate. But in 2016, you became a dad?
Yes, I did.
I mean, how does that change your life? Massively.
Like that is my purpose. That is why I do what I do, and she is my everything. She'll be 4 this year.
Mate, 4.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
She's 4. She's at preschool, and she's just a dream.
Does it make you look at life differently having a kid? Because I haven't got kids, so I don't know. But
yeah, but you know it's funny because me and Soph mention all the time to each other. It's always that question, and a lot of parents will probably agree that they've done this as well. We always say to each other things like, can you imagine your life before? And I'm like, without it, and I'm like, absolutely not. It's like she has always been there. Yeah. She's always been there. She's just incredible. I love Willow May. She's just the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing I ever did was create Willow May. And it now, even though I've always had my hunger, and we all go through stages in this industry of losing a bit of confidence, she is the reason why now I'm like, do you know what, Willow? I'm going to show you what Daddy did before.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you.
She's going to grow up listening to Shayne Ward.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether she likes it or not.
You're welcome. But I'm like, now it's like I get to say, do you know what, Willow? I've never stopped working because for me, I don't bite the hand that feeds me. I'm not too proud to work and do whatever shows because I'll always put the roof over my head and food on the table and look after my daughter and my family. But now I'm so much more determined to say, Willow, Daddy's going to get back in the arenas.
Yeah.
And he's going to sell them out and you're going to see your daddy on stage again. So that's
the aim. Well,
That's
mate, I am going to be there.
Oh,
we're going to do
without
a
a doubt.
duet.
Listen, mate,
We're going to open the show with a rap then Foreigner.
I'm talking, right? You in the crowd haven't got a clue. Look, no one else has a clue, and you've already got a boom mic.
Yeah, I'm already
Light
mic'd.
comes on.
I've got a winch.
Harness.
Harness onto the stage.
Float like that.
Yeah, this is now recorded.
Oh, it is, yeah.
This is like a definite
binding contract.
Right, well, mate, it's been amazing speaking to you. There's your little soap from the box.
Oh,
who
bless.
would you, final question, who in Coronation Street, character-wise, needs a good wash? Whether it's dirt or of their sins.
Who needs a
Not the actors, because then we're getting personal, obviously.
who needs a good wash because of their sins? Who needs a good wash because of their sins? Who do you think?
I think the obvious one is Tracy Barlow.
Well, oh, God.
It's
In
gotta
real
be,
life,
hasn't it?
absolute dream.
Oh, okay, yeah, but Tracy Barlow, filth.
Yeah. God,
So-
why did we never have an affair?
I know, because she's kind of...
Aidan and, yeah.
I think you were too nice for her.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Aidan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the person that needs to get rid of their sins.
Oh, he's
would
going against me
probably feeling, but he's gone now as well.
He's gone now, yeah. I mean, it would have to be now Jeff, wouldn't it?
Jeff.
Well, give it...
Oh, do you know what, Jeff? Comeuppance, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting a bar of soap, Jeff.
Yeah. Big bar of soap coming your way, fella.
Shayne, it's been amazing to see you, mate. Thank you very much for being my first guest.
Delighted.
Well, that's it from the first episode of Soap from the Box. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please interact with me on social media at Soap from the Box on Instagram and on Twitter. I'll be posting clues as to who the guest is going to be next week. So join in and see if you're right. I'd like to thank David Stevens and the Bothy for all their technical wizardry. I'd like to thank Rosie Baker-Smith for her social media help and Orla McKibben for her press help. I'll be back next week at the same time-ish. Thanks.